Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. My name is Adi, and today we have a team report from three different regionals, most recently Milwaukee regionals, and I'm here by one of the most consistent players in Regulation H. I'm here with Erich Schrader. How you doing?
I am so good. Thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here.
It's great to have you. I know you were telling me a little bit about your history, but for those who don't know you, can you tell everyone a little bit about yourself?
Yeah. So, um, I started playing in, I think it was 2014. Uh, and I basically played pretty consistently, like three regionals a year-ish from 2015 until 2018. Um, and then I took a really long break until Sacramento last year. Came back for Sacramento, decided I really wanted to do well. Um, I kind of like elevated uh, like Sacramento in my mind a lot, so I spent a lot of time prepping for that. Um, and well, got top eight there, and then from then on, I guess that team that I made, I've changed it a little bit, has carried me through this new Regulation H as well for the last three tournaments. And it's been a lot of fun coming back to Pokemon.
Yeah, it's been really cool to see, and with this with a especially unique team and a team that really has uh been really consistent for you. How did you decide to use a team like this all the way back when you were going to Sacramento?
So I remember I was practicing with a ton of different teams for Sacramento. I was trying Rain. Um, Back then, there was a lot of success, I think, with Sun. I think Joe uh, had recently got top cut at a few events with his version of Sun, and then Marco also was just absolutely tearing it up with his version of Sun as well. Um, so my mind just went straight to Tyranitar because obviously that's where it would go if you're thinking about beating Sun. And from there, I was like looking at Tyranitar top cut anything recently. I saw Nils Dunlap won a regional with his version of Tyranitar Excadrill, and I just took a paste of his team, threw it in Showdown. Was like, I do not like the fact that uh, that Excadrill doesn't have a single target ground attack, so I took off Swords Dance, put on Earthquake, or put on High Horsepower. Um, and from there, I couldn't really figure out uh, the well, I knew I really liked Tyranitar, Excadrill, and DD Sneasler, and from there, I wasn't really sure what I would use as my last two. I knew that like I had a really hard time if anybody was or any teams led Incineroar into me. So I'm like, all right, how do I prevent them from just turn one, game one, leading Incineroar into me, Annihilate Maushold? So I just threw that together and like it kind of worked and refined it from there. And yeah,
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I am now looking at the EV spreads for pretty much the first time, and I'm realizing that they are all 252, 252. So
yeah,
uh,
yeah. Sometimes that works. Sometimes it works. In this case, it works.
yeah, well,
I've thought a lot about EV spreads, and like in this case, it's just like I mean, gotta have max speed, gotta have 252 Sneasler. I was running a 36 HP Sneasler at one point, with 236 speed and 236 attack, but actually that was really annoying because I was just barely missing on KO out on some KOs with Stellar era, and then not at the very least speed tying like your adamant sword stance Sneaslers
mhm.
was just unacceptable. So I switched that to 252 as well. And DD obviously needs 252, 252. Excadrill does. Tyranitar is a little weird. I'm sure that spread can be refined, but basically my idea for that was like I just want to be surprising, like shockingly bulky on the special side, and I need to do some damage too. Um, so make it adamant at the very least, uh, and then yeah,
No, I think that's awesome.
yeah.
And I guess so. When you were going when you were using the team, you did you have you kind of talked me through how you got to these six Pokemon. What were the
Mhm.
considerations? What were the last considerations that you had? What were the flex slots that you felt like you had, or and what did you actually change between Sacramento and Milwaukee?
Mhm. I tried using Corviknight. I tried using just straight up Nils Dunlop's team, like just a straight paste of it, and I just found myself like barely ever using Corviknight, like unless I had in very like yeah rare circumstances was I bringing it, and I felt myself leaning like super heavily on the other four, which can be risky because uh, those four like size spam sand is like a lot of people prepare for it.
Mm-hmm.
But what people don't necessarily prepare for is an Indeedee Annihilate added onto that. And um, yeah, you can like there's a lot of mind games that I'll play with this game or with this team. Like oftentimes I'll even if I think that Mousehold Annihilate is not good into the opposing team, sometimes I will just bring it game one to kind of like psych my opponent out so that game two and possibly game three, I can like they're expecting me to potentially bring it, and then I can kind of like force their hand and kind of at least predict what they're going to bring um,
Mm-hmm.
based on that initial lead. Especially if they have an Incineroar. Then if they have an Incineroar on their team, then I will often bring Mousehold Annihilate game one, just because I hate Incineroar leads. If I'm not bringing like if I lead Sand and they lead Incineroar, then a really what can could have been a really good matchup can turn into a bad matchup because they just switch out Incineroar and then bring it back in, and they're gonna get a double intimidate onto my two physical attackers,
Mm-hmm.
and they can always switch in Incineroar on Indeedee's expanding force later in the game as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, that makes a lot of sense. Do you have so do you have like specific game plans against specific teams that you try to have in mind, or do you have some lines that you like to do that you like to throw at your different opponents? Or yeah, how do you play the team?
That's a really good question. Yes, this team I feel like has very slim margins into a lot of teams. You can't really make any mistakes. So yeah, I have lines into most of the top teams. Like for example, in Sacramento, um, I actually like I didn't have a solid plan against rain and
Mm-hmm.
specifically Basque Legion rain. I was like, I just hope that I'm not gonna play Basque Legion rain. And I did, and I lost. Uh, and like in my mind, my theory was like Terra Dragon Annihilate is gonna help me against rain, but for some reason I never actually figured out the full line into that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'm I'm just gonna this obviously like explaining my lines into a lot of these like top teams is gonna like give away if any other top players are watching this like
Oh, you don't want to share them?
my turn one, but I don't care because I actually don't plan on running this team anymore.
Oh, okay, cool.
So I will say that against Rain, what I almost 90% of the time will do is game one, I'll lead Mousehold, Annihilate, and then turn one, I'll protect Mousehold, and then Terra Dragon, Annihilate, and just bulk up. Usually, like most of the time, they will target the Mousehold, uh, and If they don't target mouse hold, well, then I'm kind of happy with that too, because then I get one Rage Fist attack
Mhm.
boost, and I will take less than 50% from Tear Water in the Rain. Wave Crash on uh, Annihilate, and then game two or turn two, they'll usually target into an mouse hold because they don't want me to get the beat up off. And I'll just switch out mouse hold because it is important for me to keep mouse hold around in those rain matchups. Um, and I will either sack a Tyranitar if they have Pelipper out uh, to force the sash to get broken,
Mhm.
or I'll just switch in Excadrill and I'll let it go down to sash. Um, and at that point, like I'll usually be able to deal with I'll Rage Fist away the or Drain Punch the uh, the Basque Legion, and then from there I'll end the game. Um, and I don't just get entirely swept by Basque Legion because that can be something that's scary.
Mhm.
And then game two, what I will do is usually if those rain teams don't have Incineroar, and I feel free to bring Indeedee. If they do have Incineroar, then game one will often scare them from bringing Incineroar game two. So I'll just straight up lead Household Indeedee and just follow me, just try to blast expanding forces through their team. Um, and then clean up with either a Ranitar, whatever in the back honestly works after that. Just do enough damage with expanding forces, and then I usually have like Tyranitar Excadrill in the back or uh, Excadrill Sneasler. Really, any combination there could work.
And
Yeah.
how's your record to rain after you figured this out?
Oh, it's great now.
Yeah.
It's actually like, yeah, it's I would say I think in tournament runs, my record after rain, like in the last three tournaments, is 100%.
Hmm.
Online, it's I would say a little less than 100%, but still very good. I
Uh,
think that the meta right now is like just makes this team way harder to use. Back in Sacramento, it felt like I was much less prepared for just in general, much less prepared. But it
mhm.
felt much easier. Now it feels like I know my matchups and I have lines against the things that previously would have beaten me. Um, but like those things are still really scary. And if I play the same player twice, then they're probably going to know my lines, and it's gonna be a little bit messy.
So what are the
Yeah,
meta trends that you're scared of with this team?
that's a good question. Okay, well, Sword Stance Sneasler is a nightmare. Um, Sneasler just KOs every single one on my team.
Hmm.
Like flying is either super effective, I think it's super effective. Like there's very little that I can do. I have my lines against it, and in fact, in this most recent tournament, uh, Milwaukee, I was able to beat it against a pretty strong player, David Mancuso.
Hmm.
But then when I played Josh Lorsey, he just blew me up. Basically, against Swords Dance Sneasler, I need to just hope that they get greedy turn one in Swords Dance, and I also get greedy and beat up.
Hmm.
um, yeah, it is a little bit more complex than that. If they're Jolly Sneasler, then I it's so hard. If they're if our Sneaslers are speed tying, then I have solid chance. And luckily, I think my Sneasler was actually outspeeding David Mancuso's Sneasler, so that gave me a great advantage. But another funny thing, when I played Joshua Lorsey against his SD Sneasler team, I had forgotten that I had played him on ladder like a few days before.
Hmm.
So one of my lines was just like sit in front of him and beat up Terra Ghost, beat up Mousehold, uh, and just target, do as much damage as I can into his Sneasler. But I had done that when I played him online. So he just read me game one, turn one, and I was not able to get that off.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, are there any other matchups that you felt like you had very specific game plans for, um, or any other teams that really scared you?
Um, yeah. So earlier I was talking about how uh like I came to the idea of this team because I was scared of Sun.
Hmm.
Well, actually, the team has a really hard time beating Sun, like any version of Sun. So in well, I guess Trick Room Sun is like I wouldn't call that Sun, but yeah, like hard Trick Room teams with Torkoal, it can do well against. Um, but and like for example, I played against Rajan Ball, which uh in Milwaukee, and he has a Nine Tails, um, not a low Nine Tails, and that was very easy. But like um, Joe's son and Marco Silva's son, it's tough. I'm sure there's a way to beat it. I just haven't figured it out yet.
Uh huh.
I'm sure there are lines. I just wasn't. I just never sat down and like figured it out. So those are scary. I will usually lose to those. Um, Field booms are everywhere, and when I was first playing this team in Sacramento, I was like, well, real booms like with any sort of like balance is gonna be hard. Now it feels easy. Now it feels like a Boom Incineroar balance team. If it's not Swords Dance Sneasler, is like pretty consistently I'm able to beat. Um, and that's just because of my familiarity with this team now. Yeah.
So, if some
What else is
if someone
yeah,
wanted to
go
pick up
ahead.
this team, what advice would you give them?
Hmm. What advice? Well, I would that's a good question. Hit me up. Like like you gotta I don't know. I'm sure you could figure it out yourself. But like I spent so much time losing to like a lot of popular teams. I was able to like figure out those matchups. And there's not a lot of wiggle room, so you like need to stick with your plan
Mhm.
against like a lot of teams. Um, but yeah, I would say like you can rely a lot more heavily on Mousehold Annihilate than you'd expect for this team.
Mhm.
Um, I do, and like the mind games there are really big because if you're leading Mousehold Annihilate um, game one, then your game two, like your Tyranitar Excadrill, what they're gonna bring to try to beat Mousehold Annihilate is not gonna be good against Tyranitar Excadrill. So Tyranitar Excadrill can be really strong game two. Um, yeah, it's a lot of mind games, and it's a lot of like what your opponent has to do to beat you is kind of telegraphed,
Mhm.
because like there will be an obvious best play um, that they have, and if you're able to read that, um, then you can do well with this team. And yeah, a lot of reads.
Okay, that's really good advice, and I think that I love how much precision there is and how much insight there is into like your lines because when I look at this team, I'm like, oh, it's a 2-2-2 team, right? And so you pick one of the cores, you throw them out, and then you have one of the cores in back. And I feel like at least with the Gendoza versions, that's kind of I never really like looked at them that closely. And
Mhm,
so hearing you talk about how like precise your lines are is really interesting, and it's not something that I think people would necessarily appreciate just looking at the team.
mhm. Yeah, and you're not always leading with uh with one of the two. Like sometimes I'll lead Annihilate plus Tyranitar just like as a big bulky lead that scares. Like Tyranitar doesn't do all that much damage if it's intimidated, but if it's not intimidated, then it can do pretty well. And I just lead Tyranitar, um, Annihilate, and it can just be like hard to get through that. I'll often lead that against like Tailwind plus Ursaluna leads, which like on paper doesn't seem like that's great, but I do have Terra Flying on Tyranitar, so there's always that mind game.
Hmm.
And most of the time, I found that if I don't Terra Tyranitar, they will expect it, so they're gonna facade into it and not do a lot. Um, yeah, and then sitting next to Tyranitar, my Annihilate can just bulk up and also be hard for Ursaluna to break through.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Um, did there any were there any other specific matchups that you wanted to talk about, um, or game plans
Yeah.
that you want to talk about?
So
Yeah.
like um Dragonites, uh let's see, Dragonites freaking everywhere. Um and if you let Dragonite get rolling, it can be scary. Especially if you are bringing like the size spam sand mode. Um Dragonite can be, it can be a real offensive threat because it just KOs it two shots. If it gets 5 hits, then it'll two shot your Tyranitar, although that is less likely.
Hmm.
And it's gonna one shot your Indeedee and it's gonna one shot your Sneasler as well. Um, so I will prioritize getting rid of uh, Dragonites when I see them, and I will, if I can't get rid of it straight up get rid of it, then at least I will focus on getting a knocking off its items so that it has less of a chance to KO my Indeedee and Sneasler in the back.
Hmm.
And just having like once you knock off a Dragonite's uh, what's the item that allows
The
it to
loaded dice.
hit 5 times? Yeah, look, if you knock off a loaded dice, then you just like the mental confidence that you can switch around in front of it, like adds a lot of flexibility to your game too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. And so you told me that you made two changes to the team between Sacramento and Milwaukee. Do you remember what they were, and do you remember why you made them?
Yeah. Um, Actually, they're huge.
Okay.
Um, so Sneasler, I had Terra Dark, and I was just so sick of not even with 252 Adamant, you're just barely missing out on like so many big KOs that you really want. You really want to KO Archaludon. I mean, you want to do as much damage to Archaludon as possible. Like, yeah, you want to KO it.
Hmm.
Um, you want to KO the Ursalunas, and most importantly, you want to KO Relabooms. Um, and Stellar does. Anything else won't. So yeah, I was like, I freaking need to get rid of these Booms. I need to just one shot them because if I'm not one shotting them, then they're just switching out and they're coming back in and disrupting my psychic terrain. So Stellar Sneasler is actually very important on this team. Um, Stellar Excadrill too. I was Terra Ground.
Hmm.
And I was like, I just want the added damage on Earthquake and high horsepower. But actually, having extra damage on Ironhead can also be really good. Um, like specifically into just like picking up surprise KOs on Rillaboom with Ironhead and surprise KOs on like -1 defense or really like Dragonites in general. Um, so yeah, really liked Stellar Terra on Exadrill as well. It just adds like because you're oftentimes clicking all three of those moves. Um,
Hmm.
and so if you're clicking all three of the moves, then Stellar is definitely
Well,
the best.
you don't get the boost on the second grab if you click, right?
Oh, you not?
No, no, you don't.
It's just
It's just
that's
once
so
per type.
funny.
Yeah,
That's so
yeah.
funny.
Uh,
Okay, well, great. I learned something today.
no, but yeah, okay, that makes a lot of sense. And so with that, I'd love to hear about your tournament runs. Do you have a couple of highlight matches from the tournaments that you want to talk about?
Let's see. What do you
This one is
have
Sacramento. This is the oldest one.
up there right now? That's Sacramento? Okay, Sacramento was a while ago, so it's hard to remember fully. Okay, yeah. Let's just talk about my matches against both of them against Carson because neither of them were streamed, but like, man, there was so much drama there. Um, so I look at Carson's team and I think this is an easy matchup for me. Uh, their entire Excadrill just freaking goes crazy, um,
Mm-hmm.
which it does.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so um, Swiss, I wrecked him, and it was just I led Tyranitar Excadrill. He was like too scared to lead Incineroar because of the Annihilate threat, and I can't exactly remember turn by turn, but basically I just led Tyranitar Excadrill both times, and uh, it worked. Uh,
Okay.
game so and in Top Cut. So I remember we were talking a little bit that night and like later that day after day one, and he was like, "Dude, I really hope that I don't play you again because I have an auto loss to you." And I just kind of nodded my head. It was like, "I guess you have an auto loss to me. I hope I play you." And then I never thought about his team after that. I guess he went home that night and he like practiced lines into my team. Um, and he was thinking about me.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so when we ended up playing um, in cut, I was not expecting an Incineroar lead, and he led Incineroar. And he just played so well. Um, and made me realize that like even bad matchups can be losable,
Mm-hmm.
or even good matchups can be losable.
Especially like you
Um,
said in the rematch, where if you win, you're not thinking about it, but if you lose, you are thinking about it all night, and so it's so much harder to beat someone a second time.
yeah, exactly. And now I think about uh, our rematch quite a lot. Um, I'm sure he can sleep easy knowing that he beat me. I think about that.
Yeah,
Uh, and yeah, so
yeah. And so
um,
you got top eight at
now,
Sacramento, and then
yeah,
well, you didn't go to any more Reg H events. I think the only one after that was Toronto, I believe. And so, uh,
yeah,
were you not playing at all throughout Reg G and Reg I and all that stuff, or were you also playing a little bit around
yeah.
then?
So I am a commercial fisherman, and that is like really great for Pokemon. But when I'm working, I can't be playing Pokemon whatsoever. Like I am on a boat out at sea. Um,
Hmm.
and so after Sacramento, I had squid season, and uh, that went like all through the winter. So I wasn't able to play much at all that winter. And then this summer, I had salmon season, and salmon season is 3 months long. And that was like, yeah, no time whatsoever to think about Pokemon, to play Pokemon.
Hmm.
Um, until the end of the season, um, where I had 9 days on the boat with Starlink, coming down from uh, Dutch Harbor. We took the boat down from Dutch Harbor, which is like way out on the Aleutian chain, Alaska, down to Seattle, and that took 9 days. And there's nothing to do but sit there and look at the ocean, or if you have Starlink, play Pokemon. So that's kind of when I got back into it and started practicing with my team again. It was like, oh wow, this is actually like still good. Oh, you got you
So
got Google
do you
Maps up.
guys
You're
go
looking at it.
directly like that, or do you guys go like around to get back? Or I guess where'd you
That's
get where did you even drop off? Did you get
that's
dropped
a
off in
good question.
Anchorage?
So you can, um, I I've done it multiple times, and on like a bigger boat where you don't really care so much about the weather, you just go straight across,
Okay.
and you don't even look at windy, and you're just like whatever weather comes comes. Um, this summer I was in a smaller boat, like a 50-foot eight seiner, so we were trying to avoid the weather, and there was some weather. So we hugged the coast the whole way and went a route called the Inside Passage, which basically from like Southeast Alaska, like Juneau area down all the way to Seattle, you can hug the coastline and be protected. Yeah, exactly there.
Hmm.
You can be protected by those islands the entire way, um, and not have to worry about weather at all. So that was fun. Also, really beautiful because you're surrounded by land, and you're going the inside passage. You're so close to land, you get to see like just the most beautiful islands and mountains.
Yeah.
Like that, all that white there you can see typically from the boat. Those are big, big mountains.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. Um,
Mm.
so you were busy having the time of your life boating down from Alaska instead of playing Pokemon. Oh wait, no, that was when you wait, that was
No,
the only time you got to play
the
Pokemon.
opposite.
No, no.
Yeah, I was having the time of my life playing Pokemon on the boat.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
with epic views.
Okay. Um, and then you were like, shit, my team is still good. I got to go to Mexico to play the next tournament.
Yeah, that's kind of had the plan actually before I even started practicing with the team again that I was going to go to Mexico. Uh, I just figured like, yeah, it's obviously still going to be like at least playable for Mexico, so I just signed up at the earliest chance I could.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, it was just like extra added bonus that I was able to practice on the boat before that. And so yeah, then I got off the boat in Seattle and I flew straight to Mexico. I still had like a big full bushy beard for that tournament and probably still smelled like fish even. I was like yeah, literally right off the boat. And had such a good time at that tournament. Like I met so many good players, so many nice players, made friends with Marcus Dion, Justin Tang, Von Mott, great guys.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, like did better than I expected. Um, well, I don't know if better than I expected. It was harder. That tournament was a lot harder than I expected. I went there like thinking, oh, this is gonna be like kind of an easy tournament, but I played I yeah, you got
No,
you got it
you had a
up there.
tough
Like I
schedule.
played some freaking good players. Um, and of course, my loss against Justin Tang, I'll never forget that. He just freaking read me. I don't know why it's funny, like you lose and then you like learn after your loss how you can what not only what you could have done, but you like think a lot about that team and I've thought a lot about Justin's team since then and not great to lead and Maushold Annihilate against. So that's another thing. Maushold Annihilate against coaching Sneasler with Dragonite
Hmm.
can be tricky. It's doable, but like it's uh it's um it's not the ideal lead against that. The ideal lead would be Tyranitar Excadrill, and for some reason in our game I just refuse to lead Tyranitar Excadrill. even though like it's good. It's a good lead against his team. I don't know why I didn't, but yeah,
I mean, that's part of the benefit of using something that's not super common in the meta, right? Is that you haven't prepped for it, and it sounds like your team does require pretty precise lines. So,
yeah.
but yeah, tell me more about the your experience in Monterey, and any other like highlight matches that you want to talk about from here.
Let's see. Let's take a look at that. Okay, yeah, uh round one against Lewis Milich.
Yep.
I recognize that name and I know that he had done well, so I expected him to play well. Um, and I just remember leading the top four, like just uh yeah, size spam sand, and just being able to dismantle him with that. I just played really, really well. Um, let's look at those matchups again. Oh yeah, Brandon Davis. That was crazy. His team, that Salamence was a problem. Um, that Salamence with Ursaluna was tough. That was close. I remember it came down to like his Salamence just living, I think, a dire claw from my Sneasler in the end. Just I had chipped it too. It just barely lived, and then KO'd me with dual wing beat. So that one was close. Um, I didn't really have a solid game plan into that, so that was kind of just like fly by the seat of my pants type of matchup,
Hmm.
which are fun, but obviously like you you hope to have um, like a solid game plan into the teams that you play in a tournament. That I did not, and that was a loss. And then I lost to David Rodriguez. Uh, so this is like almost a mirror.
Hmm.
Um, this can be a tough. Now it's not so bad. I've actually since then I've played it a few times and I have like a 100% winning record against this team. Um, but I couldn't really figure out the Corviknight back then, and I wasn't sure totally on my calcs. So like game one, I remember because he's leftovers. I thought maybe like a psychic or an expanding force plus Terra Stellar close combat will KO Corviknight, and it just barely lived. That was also back when I was still running 236 attack.
Hmm.
So if I had been 252, it, he lived so close on that double up. I think I might have actually been able to KO it.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I just put all my eggs in my basket, trying to KO Corviknight game one, turn one, and he was able to live, and then tailwinded, and then there he was able to beat me. Um,
Yeah, I love how we're talking about
yeah,
all your losses, but you did in day two. You beat both Renzo, who just won a regional down in Brazil this weekend, and then Marcus, who also is a very very good player. Do you want to talk about either of those matchups? Let's hear about some of the wins.
yes,
Yeah.
okay. Well, obviously, I think about my losses more because I want to know how, like, what could I have done to win.
Hmm.
Um, so the wins are a little bit more like, oh, well, moving on.
I feel that. That's
Uh,
how it is in my head too.
but um, okay, let's talk about Marcus Dion because that one was close, and um, I game three, I was scared because I led the wrong thing. I led Mousehold Annihilate into his Mousehold um, Goldango, and um, his Goldango was fat. I knew that it was going to be able to survive a Rage Fist. It was going to survive anything from if he teared from my Annihilate. But I knew that his Mousehold was scared of Taunt. Um, Taunt is actually a really big threat against their Mousehold leads, and they will often like try to finagle away around not getting taunted. Um, and so turn one, I just read that he would protect with Mousehold, and I just beat up Annihilate right in front of his face and did a sizable chunk to his Terrid Goldango, and then at that point he made it rain. Terror Steel and my Annihilate survived, but my Mousehold went down, and then I was able to bring in my Indeedee and Terra Psychic Expanding Force was able to KO that Goldango, and then from there just swept his entire team. Um, so that was really satisfying because you know I thought that was for sure going to lose that one when I saw the lead, but then I thought a little more. Like I have some ways out, but that's through taunt,
Mm-hmm.
and I know that he's going to be scared of taunt, so I know he's going to protect. And it worked out.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
so yeah, finished top 8 back to back regionals out in Monterey, and then were you at Pittsburgh or was your next regional Milwaukee?
I went to Pittsburgh. Yeah, man, Pittsburgh was a tough one. Um, my flight got delayed, uh, like 8 hours out of Dallas. They had some sort of problem at the Dallas airport.
Mm-hmm.
Their like computer system was down, and so I didn't get to Pittsburgh until like 3 a.m. the night before the tournament. Um, and then I get to my Airbnb, and it's so late. I'm like, oh my god, I have this tournament in just a few hours. Sleep is really important for me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and yeah, showed up to Pittsburgh the next day just in a bad mood because I got no sleep, and I felt like it was like I did everything I could to like set myself up for this regional, and like just fate like you know screwed me over the night before. And then that I just carried like a bad mindset through that, and I made some like I was saying, the margins are thin, and I made some bad calls, and well, ended up 5-3 there. Um, but I feel like I could have gone a lot further
Yeah.
that day.
And then of course Milwaukee regionals, right around the corner a couple weeks later, and you did go a lot further. You made it back into top cut all the way to top 16. Um, what was your mindset going into this event? And yeah, tell me about some matches that you played.
Yeah. So uh, my mindset going into this event was, wow, I am like the most prepared with this team that I ever have been. Um, what felt like auto losses to a lot of teams before are now feel like solid like potential wins. Um, but there's this new team. There's this Sword Stand Sneasler team, and um, I even yeah I knew that it was going to be a problem because I played a lot of this team online in practice, and I was not winning. Um, and I was winning some, but I was probably losing like 60% of the time against that team,
Mm-hmm.
which didn't feel good, especially since I knew that like this was going to be a team that top players were going to be piloting. Um, and yeah, so like I said, when I saw it in what was that round, David Mancuso round 5, I was like, oh crap. Here it goes. I recognize this guy's name, and he's running this team. Um, but uh, yeah, that that ballsy turn one play of just beat up Annihilate right in front of his face, it really worked out. Um, and game two, I was able to scare him away from bringing Incineroar to the match. And because of that, I was able to win with Tyrant Direct Drill, DD Sneasler in the back, kind of just taking one for one trades, um, until it came down to an end game where I had an advantage. Basically, I was like, I'm fine with can't let Sneasler KO more than 2 mons. That's basically the rule
Mhm.
against beating this team.
Uh-huh.
Let it KO 1 mon, but 2 unacceptable. Yeah.
All right.
Then oh yeah, okay, let's talk about Brady's team. Um, yeah, so because this team doesn't have Incineroar, it's actually um like pretty solid matchup. I really liked my game with Brady. It was I think it was 2 games. I did beat him both times, but it felt close and there was a lot of switches. There was a lot of positioning. Um, I way back in like 2016, I lived in Florida, and
Mhm.
Brady's from Florida, so we actually played a lot at locals back then. Um, so I kind of was familiar with the way that he played. He's like a super defensive, very balancy play style. Um, he was always running Tapu Fini back in the day,
Yep. Hmm.
uh, and yeah, I was able to. So the real problem for him was my Ndidi in the end. I was just trying to position myself into a way where eventually Ndidi would sweep, and that worked pretty well.
Hmm.
Yeah, and then I faced this different this non like I would call it rain, but it's not your standard rain. Um, I don't know who created this team, but
Oh,
uh,
I think. I don't know who created it. I know Cybertron used it at Monterey.
yeah. I remember that too. This is like an easy rain, I would call it, because Basque Legion doesn't have Swift Swim, so it's like it's so easy um, compared to the other rain. So yeah, this was like I could, I led Muscle Annihilate game 1, and that does pretty well against him. Whimsicott is a little bit scary, but like game 1, turn 1, I predicted that he would Tailwind plus Terra Fighting, um, Parablast into my Mousehold because like that was scary. If I got a beat up, he wanted Tailwind, um, and if I was able to get a beat up off, then that was obviously scary for his team. So I just predicted that he was gonna Terra Fighting, and I just Terra Ghosted, and he just whiffed, and from there, I KO'd his Goldango, and he was like too far behind at that point after game 1, turn 1. And then game 2, he didn't bring his Incineroar because he was scared of that Castle Annihilate. And then I think it was a much more like positioning game, but like Basque Legion, you know, it gets its sash chipped um, by Tyranitar, and it doesn't outspeed in DD in the
Hmm.
rain. So it's like that's really hard for him. Yeah, that felt like a very, very easy, strong win. Um, Ajan, that was another game that okay, let's talk about actually Brian Collins here
Yeah.
because yeah, that I still can't figure this one out. Like it's hard because the Incineroar has close combat and there's an Incineroar on hard trick room. Um, yeah, I my game plan against him was just sit there and rock slide with Tyranitar, and it almost worked actually. um, Especially considering just how absolute fat my Tyranitar is, especially.
Hmm.
But not fat enough. It was just barely not fat enough. Um, and yeah, like Specs Torkel plus um, uh, Adderine, just dazzling gleamed outside of the sun or outside of sand was just too much for my Tyranitar to handle. And um, once Tyranitar goes down in these hard trigger matchups, it's like you want to keep it alive for as long as you can,
Hmm.
basically to act as like a sponge until you can um, like out stall out trigger him essentially, and then like position your last. Sometimes it's only Excadrill that sweeps with Earthquake. Um, deal your last two mons to beat whatever he has left outside of Trick Room, but Tyranitar just went down too early and wasn't able to get off enough damage thanks to the Incineroar's Intimidate as well. So that's a
Hmm.
tough one.
Yeah.
I probably won't be thinking about this
Hmm.
matchup because it's like so rare that you see this team. Um,
I don't
but
know. I feel like
yeah,
people might start to look at this. People love hard trick room. As soon as a hard trick room team starts doing well, people start picking it up. So I don't know. We might see more of it.
yeah,
It's
I think
good.
you're right.
It's like
Actually,
I think it's a really scary team. I know on Tub Takes on our podcast, people were our guests were talking about how scared they were of facing this team as well. So I think it might have some good matchups.
yeah, it definitely does have some good matchups. Just considering how deep you ran with it.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I feel like this team is like a very high level uh, hard trick room team because it does have that Lilligant. Um, it has a lot of options.
Hmm. I think the Bird Graph is
Gives
pretty
you
good
yeah,
into
it
all the
gives you
double
a lot
fake
more
out teams.
flexibility than your typical like yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, the
And
Krigraf,
and the
yeah,
instant, the clear amulet close combat instant is really cool, and it does seem like it solves a lot of problems. So I think the team is sick.
yeah, I agree. I agree.
But yeah, so
Um, yeah,
go ahead.
I was just gonna look at the other matchups here.
Yeah, yeah.
Rajon Ball, yeah, that was tough for him, man. He had a bad matchup against me.
uh,
I don't even know what he could have done, to be honest. Um, we were talking about it afterwards, and like I was trying to think with him on what he could have done to beat my team, but like neither of us could come up with anything. Yeah, because the Whimsicott isn't it's chlorophyll, which like I guess was really good for him in the tournament, and he said that he really liked that. And I think it's awesome that you can encore dark types. So cool. But uh, against sand, like you're not gonna end up getting sun up in the end game
yeah,
um, against a fat Tyranitar like mine. Yeah,
yeah. The Tyranitar seems like it's really problematic for this team.
yeah,
And then yeah, you played Lorsi in Top Cut. I think you talked about this game a little, or you talked about this matchup a little bit when you played Mancuso. But how did this one go?
yeah. So I did talk about it a little bit earlier. Um, basically, uh, he led um, Sword Stance Sneasler plus Rillaboom both games, and um, I had played him. I'm pretty sure on ladder like a few days before this tournament,
Hmm.
and I had uh, Terra ghosted my Mousehold turn one and beat up my Annihilate because I know that I can survive a um, acrobatics, even a terrace flying acrobatics with my Annihilate if he were to attack that. Um, but felt like kind of safe, unless doubles into Annihilate with Grassy Glide plus acrobatics, and that's what he did.
Okay.
So game one I lost, and then game two, um, I actually led the same exact thing, uh, and I just kind of was like, I'm gonna call you. You're not gonna do that again. you're gonna sword stance. And like I didn't know what else to do. I was like, I need to just hope that you don't do that again. Um, or you don't KO my mousehold before I can move, which is also another very likely occurrence. And yeah, game two, he just got greedy and tried to fake out my mousehold. I Terra ghosted again, beat up while he sword stanced, and I'm not actually KOing the Sneasler with boosted Rage Fist turn one, but I'm doing like 75%, even more like 80%, whereas any other attack will be able to KO it.
Mhm.
Um, and yeah, from there I was able to finagle a win with that. Um, and then game three, I was like, all right, well, I actually now I have like a really good chance. Because I led Mousehold Annihilate game one and two, and I got a win. I just need to win one more. And I know I can do that if he does. I can do that with a Tyranitar Excadrill lead. Um, if he doesn't bring Incineroar. Um, if he does bring Incineroar, then I can't because Ironhead will do less than 50. It'll do like 30% less even to his Sneasler, and I need it to do more.
Mhm.
I need it to do at least close enough to 50% that Sand Chip will two turns of Sand Chip will be able to KO him with another Iron Head.
Mhm.
Um, and yeah, he just brought Incineroar. So I led Tyranitar Excadrill turn one. He, switched out his uh uh Real Boom for Incineroar, just got a easy intimidate on me, and then I was doing nothing to him. Just couldn't break the Sneasler.
Yeah.
So
Uh,
yeah,
but
props to him. He
but like you said, this is
knew.
like that was one of the tougher matchups for this team. You kind of knew it going into it, and only playing it in top or only losing to it in top cut top 16 is still pretty good. And you had I want to loop back to three top cuts with this team, the Sand team. You cut Sacramento regionals, you cut Monterey regionals, and then you cut the
Yeah.
Milwaukee regionals. Uh, Not quite back to back to back, but really impressive run. Um, and I heard that you didn't get into Las Vegas regionals. Is that right?
I didn't get in. I wasn't sure if I was actually going to be able to go because
Mm-hmm.
I thought I probably going to be doing Squid. Um, but should have signed up, day one immediately when it came out, just in case.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess this is just life, like the world telling me, yeah, you should go work Squid.
Yeah.
So I will be fishing.
Well, but
I will
now
be fishing when Las Vegas.
with four regionals under your belt, three top cuts or three regionals under your belt this year, two top cuts, you're in a great spot to make the world championships. Are you going to be able
Yeah.
to go to worlds and qualify for worlds?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That this is the year. Every other year for the last like 7 years, I've been fishing in Alaska during Worlds. Uh, um, but this year is going to be different. I'm not going to be fishing. I decided to take off the summer. So yeah, my plan is to go to Worlds.
Hell
So
yeah.
I'm really excited for that.
That's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
I'm excited for you.
Yeah.
And hopefully I will be
Thanks.
able to see you at a couple events later this year. Um, but yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's going to do it from us. Those are all the questions that I had. Thank you so much for coming on the channel and sharing your team. This is a really cool team. And like I said, you've had a really crazy run over the course of Regulation H with this, so I definitely recommend that you give it a shot. The pace will be in the description. The rental code will be on screen right now. And yeah, any final words or shout outs that you want to give?
Um, if you want like if you want some if you do decide that you want to run this team, hit me up. And I guess, I actually don't really use Twitter and I don't really use. Can you link my Instagram?
Yeah, I can put the Instagram link in the
uh,
description. Yeah.
yeah, hit me up on Instagram. That's what I use. And I would be happy to help anybody that like seriously wants to give this team a try because it's so fun. It's awesome. It's different. It's different than everything else out there. So,
It
or
is.
most of the things out there right now. So, yeah.
Absolutely. Any shout outs that you wanted to give?
Um, yes. Uh, Don, our mutual friend Don, has, he brought me into this game way back in 2014. And if it weren't for Don, I never would have even started playing Pokemon. Um, if it weren't for Don, I wouldn't continue to play Pokemon. So thank you, Don. And yeah, he's great. I just called him earlier, and like he's such a good guy to talk to about the game because uh, he's so fast with ideas. You can just like bounce ideas off of him, and he give what that would look like in his head.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, so shout outs to Don specifically right now.
Hell yeah, he's great. And yeah, thank you again for
Yeah,
coming to the channel. Congrats again on your tournament runs. And until next time, I will see you guys all later.
thank you, Adi. This was awesome.